Hey everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the vlog. So in today's episode we're going to be revealing our new project, which is taking a long time to arrive, to be fair, but it's here now. That's the main thing, and it's a car that I've been wanting for some time, but been waiting for the right one to come up. And although it may not be the right engine, we'll come on to that later, but it's definitely the right model. And like I said, I've been waiting to get one of these in this particular shape for some time. So you know what, let's not waste any more time. Let's go and see what the new car is. Yes, welcome to my 2018 Audi TT Mark III, or 8S as it's more affectionately known in the trade. So this car has been a long time coming. I have really loved TTs, as you can probably tell on my channel. This will be my fourth Audi TT that I've owned. So I've now owned all generations. I've had a Mark I, a silver Mark I, a Mark II, and now this being a Mark III. Of course, the TT itself has just been upgraded, has had a facelift, and apparently the TT that's now in the showrooms is the last of the TTs. So Audi are no longer going to be building the TTs apparently, or they're going to be looking at a new replacement for the TT, which is going to be hybrid or electric base. Right, let's take a look at the damage in this one and see what we need to do. So we're going to take a look at the damage in two phases. We're going to take a look first of all at the mechanical damage. We're going to then see what the electronics is telling us. So we're going to plug in our Ross Tech, our VCDs, to see what it's going to tell us, and then we'll be able to complete our shopping list. Now I have already started receiving parts for this car. So over here we've got a bumper, and if you look at this bumper, if you are familiar with a Mark III, then you will know that this is not a normal bumper. This is a bumper for a TTRS. So because this car has no front, I'm actually going to rebuild it to look like a TTRS because I just love that aggressive look. So that's what the plan. So this bumper, the original color was grey. I'll show you on screen now, but I've had it painted. So I've been getting the parts in so that we can just crack on with this build and not have any delays. So that's been going on. I've got the parts in that I think we need, but let's take a look for yourself and you can see what we need. So starting with under the bonnet. Now the good thing about this car is the engine isn't broken. It runs, it drives. You saw it out in the drive, and I have actually driven the car into the garage here. So it runs, the engine is not broken, the mounts are not broken either. Now we're going to come on to the price of this car in a moment, because I didn't get this car from the usual subjects. So this isn't a Copart car, nor is it an ASM car, but it did come from an auction house, but not your normal one. But let's come on to that later. Let's take a look at the damage first of all. So clearly we can see this car's had a frontal impact. It has destroyed a number of sensors. The crash bar is destroyed. This car is down as a Cat S, but the original description by the salvage yard who own it said it's very light and there's no chassis damage. Now we will check that to see, but you can see that the slam panel is completely gone. Now we do have, this has obviously got 3 radiators. It's got the condenser, it has the radiator, and then we also have the intercooler. As with the S3, this has all been crushed, so we're going to need to take that apart. Hopefully the underneath here has not been damaged or pushed back. The inlet manifold although I do see a little hairline, but no, actually that's fine, that's okay. So we need a new slam panel, we need all 3 radiators, headlights. This isn't the LED headlights, it is Xeon. Actually it is LED, but it's not the intelligent LED like what we had in the S3. So these headlights are pretty easy to come by. So the first headlight, as you can see, that's broken. The second headlight is also completely broken, but unlike the S3, they actually still work. So I can turn them on and they come on, etc. So they work. Now the main beams on these are just standard halogen bulbs. You can probably just see the bulb in there now. And the indicator isn't an LED one, it's just a standard orange bulb. Standard bulb as well, so we'll probably upgrade those as well. Right, so that's the front end sorted, and like I said, we've got the bumper over there, and I've got a TTRS grille, and these are OEM parts as well. Now the lip here, lip spoiler, I bought a new one from Audi, plus the grille, because they were cheaper than anywhere online on eBay, but they were still a fortune. They really were expensive. Just the lip, 300 quid. Can you believe that? 300 quid. And nobody has any spare ones because they're all broken. For some reason all the TTRS bumpers come like that, they come without the lip, so people must know that they're expensive and sell them separately. But this one came with the grille, which is unusual because the TTRS grille alone 1500 quid, which is extraordinary. Right, back to the car. Crash bar, that needs to be replaced as well. We've got a new one of those. The lugs, well, they're fine on that side and that side as well, which is really good, but these are standard, so they're easy to get hold of. But I'm glad that these ones are fine. We'll probably have to replace the mechanism for the pulley, but again, that's really simple to come by as well. Right, so that's the engine bay, and now the bonnet. We do need a new bonnet, but I've got one. So I've got a new bonnet, and it came in color, but it was pitted at both ends, so it had some marks down here all the way along, like it's been, something's run over it, although there was no scratches on it at all. Just needed painting or re-blowing over and re-lacquering. So I've actually done that. We've got the new one. I'll show you it now. So here's a new bumper. I've placed it out the way to protect it, but it's been painted and it looks beautiful. So bumper, I just said bumper, didn't I? I meant bonnet. So here's a new bonnet, all done and safely tucked out the way. Okay, so the back of the car, excuse the mess. These are all the boxes for the stuff that I've got for the vehicle. Back of the car is absolutely fine. There is a little mark on the back here that I may get done at some point, but at the moment I'm not really that fuss. Exhaust is fine. It's got a private plate on this car. Yeah, private plate. Means nothing to me though, so I might just sell it and get the original one on there. Absolutely nothing wrong with the back. The back is perfect. The rest of this car is absolutely in perfect nick. The only damage is in the front, and the beauty on these TTs is that the wing comes in like it's a weird configuration. So the bonnet has taken all the damage, but both sides of the wings are absolutely perfect, so I won't need to do anything on there. And even the front splash guard, they're all in place. Everything is there, so that's really good news in terms of damage. The damage on this is very limited in contrast to what we had to do last year. Do you remember last year we were taking engines out? That was a nightmare, it really was. But the whole experience that we had last year with taking the S3 engine out and replacing it has really helped me to understand how this engine hangs together. And this engine is exactly the same configuration as the S3, bar less intercoolers. The S3 had an intercooler over there and on that side as well, auxiliary intercoolers to help aid the cooling. Now what we're going to do with this car, before we get on to what we're going to do with this car, let me show you the interior. So, the interior of this car, well, the damage is pretty obvious. We've got an airbag deployed because it's well, the car's been hitting the front, so as a result of that, we got a broken windscreen. Probably can't see it from in there, but you will be able to see it from in here. So windscreen clearly damaged, that needs to be replaced. Story of my life that. We've got an airbag deployed on the dashboard. It's been nicely covered up, but that's been deployed as well, which means we've got to take the dashboard out of the vehicle. But again, no hard luck. That's not a difficult one to do. And then of course we've got to take the airbag off here. Now, if you remember from the S3, getting this off was a complete mess. So I'm not looking forward to taking off the, you know, the airbag, the center airbag, but it has to be done. And of course we've got the virtual dashboard as well, which is fantastic. So yep, that's a plus in the car. Although this car, it's got sat nav preparation according to Audi, but it doesn't have the sat nav in here, which is a shame, but I will upgrade it to that. So there's no airbags deployed on the curtains, so that's fine. That's good news as well. But the seat belts, they have deployed, and in fact that one over there has been cut. Strangely enough, there's no seatbelt there at all. Why? I have no idea. There you go. It's been cut. So yeah, we'll have to replace that. But like most other bits in this car, I've actually got a replacement for it already. So that's the interior of the car. So looking at the car, as you can see, we got airbag lights, we got engine lights, we've got safety system faults, we've got drive system faults, we have tire pressure. Well, that's the least of my worry. And switch, well, it's telling me to switch off the engine. The engine's not running because we need to check the coolant level. So those are all the things that the car is reporting. And for obvious reasons, the reason why it's reporting low coolant, because there is none in the car. It's completely empty because of the crushed radiator. But to find out what all the issues are, we really need to take a look at VCDS. So let's take a look at the screen and see what VCDS is reporting. Okay, so we're logged into VCDS now. So what we're going to do is we are going to kick off our scan. So let it find the car automatically, which it has, and then it's going to do a scan which will take a couple of minutes, and then we'll take a look and see what the car reports back to us. Okay, so the scan is now complete. Let's review and see what we got here. So we've got an engine malfunction, we've got ABS faults, we've got HVAC, central electrics, park and steer, airbags, instrument panel, cam, busway, steering assist, I know what that is, headlamp range, I know what that is too. So let's go in some more detail. So the engine, the fault, coolant, temperature sensor on radiator, G83, our old friend G83. If you remember from the S3, there's a pipe that has that temperature in there. When you have a frontal impact, that gets crushed. So that's what that is, and that's what that's reporting. Okay, not sure what that is. Supply voltage for engine actuator. Okay, that's fine. So let's just skip that and move on to our next fault. So far everything's okay, and here's our next one, ABS braking. Right, so it's telling me that there's a fault found, steering angle, no signal. That's an easy fix. That's because the at some point the power's being disconnected, so it doesn't know where the center of the steering wheel is, and that's the reason why that fault has come up. Okay, moving on. Now we want to go to our next one, which is HVAC. That's going to be a pretty obvious one. There is no air conditioned coolant in there, plus it's split, so it's saying that the refrigerant pressure is too low. So that tells us that the radiator is broken or the condenser Radiator is broken, but we knew that anyway. That's obvious by the fact that it's crushed. Right, central electrics. This is the one that we need to find out what that is. So rain light sensor, nothing wrong with that. Fault found bulb for front turn signal. Okay, yeah, that bulb's broken. Remote key 1, current too low. Remote key 2, current too low. Well, 2 keys. We've only got 1. Okay, that's fine. Let's find our next fault. So far, nothing to worry about. Park steer assist. ESP. Well, that's because it doesn't know where the center of the yeah, this error is because it doesn't know where the center of the steering wheel is, or when the steering wheel is straight. That's the reason why the ESP error comes up. So once you reset the steering, and like I said, you do that by doing a full lock from left to right, that fixes that error. Airbags, right? What airbags have we got deployed? So we've got side driver's front. Yep. Side sensor, that is driver's front. Yep, we know what that is. Side sensor pressure passenger front. Side sensor driver rear. Ooh. Yep, I know what that is. Front sensor passenger. Pedestrian protection center. Yeah, we know what that is. Yeah, we know what all of those are. Those are the same issues we had with the TT, and I've got the sponge foam with the 2 sensors that go in there, which will clear that fault. Right, okay, what else? Igniter for driver's airbag. Well, that's clear, we've seen that. Igniter for seat belt tensioner, driver side. Igniter for seat belt tensioner, passenger side. Seat belt tensioner, igniter, rear, driver side. Seatbelt tensioner, rear, passenger side. So I wonder if the passenger, oh, okay, that's a new one on me. Rear seatbelts, they shouldn't have gone off, but anyway, we'll be able to test that. Igniter for battery interrupted. Igniter for pedestrian system, resistance too low. Yep, we know what that is. Yeah, quite a few airbag sensors there. Front passenger sensor protection system. A lot of these errors are for the same one. So like the front sponge that goes in the front of the car, that is that covers about 4 of these errors for each side of the car. So we're not really bothered about that. Front crash data stored. Yep, okay, that's fine. Multiple collision brake. Nice. Okay. Again, nothing really scary that's really bothering me there, unlike the I had with the S3. This is just pretty straightforward. Right, 3 faults found with the steering. Control module, no communication. Again, I'm not worried about that. Once I reset that will sort that out. In fact, if I clear some of these codes now, you'll see that it will actually clean up some of these errors. Again, steering, nothing really to worry about there. Even if I have to change the steering rack on this, they're really easy to do on these Audis. So again, I'm not worried. Right, headlight range. Remember all the issues we had with headlights on the S3? Well, we've got one here, but I'm not really that concerned because all the modules on this car work. So this one is just telling me that it's yeah, I don't know what that error is, but I've got new headlights, so I'm just going to move the modules over, and hopefully the modules will be fine. But they are working. All the lights are working fine on this, so it should just plug and play. And that is it. That is it. So really, I think that this is not too bad at all. It's pretty straightforward on what we need to do to get this car sorted, so I'm pleased with that. It should be pretty quick. Now, one of the things I really like about this car, and I know that all the TTs do this, is what happens when you turn off the start and stop button. And this car does have a start and stop button. We've got keyless entry, which is fantastic. So when I press the button, which happens on the dashboard, and listen up, Yeah, you get that Audi sign-off signature sound, which is fantastic. All the toys, that's what it's all about. Right, let's talk about plans for this car and what plans I have for this car. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to be doing on the car is we're going to take the front apart. So we're going to strip down the front of the vehicle and get it ready for replacing all the bits here and get it running. So that's the first job that we're going to do. You'll see that next week. Once we get the front on the vehicle, we're then going to obviously sort the bonnet out. We'll then take the dashboard out, replace the dashboard. Then we'll start thinking about some custom jobs on the car. This car is going to get some serious modding. Now, this is the 1.8 engine. I wanted a 2 litre, but no 2 litres were coming up within a reasonable price. Now, let me tell you how much I purchased this car for. It was up for 8,999, call it 9k. It was up for 9k. This is a 2018 plate, okay? January 2018 this car was registered. So it's done about 30,000 miles. Now when you look online, these cars, the 1.8, 30k mileage, they're selling for, the cheapest one I saw was about 15.5, but the average price for these is about 17.5 upwards. So what did I pay for it? I paid 7,800. That's weird because I didn't have to go through an auction. I wasn't bidding against anybody. I literally just bartered with the guy, told him who I didn't tell him who I was, I just told him I was trade, and managed to get the car down after a few days of negotiating. He agreed on a price of around 7,800. Cost me 280 to get it delivered from Ipswich, which is a pretty fair price, to be fair. But for the price I paid for this was cheap, and that's the reason why I went for this 1.8, because I really wanted a 2 litre because it's got more tuning potential, but I can still get a decent tune out of this car. It's obviously going to get a race chip, and this is one of the reasons why I buy race chips, because I took the race chip out of the bath. That's now gone back to race chip to be retuned. It's going to go back in here, and it's cost me 95 quid, and that includes all the postage as well. And for that I'll get a brand new top of the GTS Black Edition, and that's the reason why I use race chip, because I can move them from car to car, which you can't do with a remap. Now, I'm not going to get into the argument about remaps and the pros and cons of them, because there are pros and cons of both. The reason why I use race chip is because I can move them to the next car for a minimal outlay. That is it, okay? I'm not bothered about the increased power, etc., and the throttle response, blah 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 blah. You can put whatever you want in the comments. That's the reason why I do it. Right, so wheels. The wheels on this car are perfect. There are no scratches on any of the wheels. There's one issue with them: they're ugly. Now, some of you might love those wheels, and if you do, you can buy them off me, because I'm going to change them. The tires on here are fantastic. They're really good tires as well, all around the car. They got some good tread on them. They are hand cooked tires as well, so they are, I'm not sure if they are factory fitted, whether they come with that. I'm not sure whether Audi use that, but we are going to be fitting some 20-inch rims on this, so it's going to get 20s, and it's also going to be lowered, because if you look at the height, if you can just make that out there, boy, there is some height there, about 3 fingers. And I'm going to bring them out slightly as well by putting some spacers on. So we're going to get some upgrades on the wheels. Now there's going to be some internal upgrades going on as well, and I'm contemplating getting the TTRS spoiler for the back, and then doing a delete on the spoiler lift, which you can do with Vcds. So that's some of the plans that I've got going for the car. But let me know what else you'd like to see modded on this car. I might do we're definitely going to change this up as well, the filter as well. There's plenty of space to do stuff in this car, and we're going to make this car a little bit exciting. So that's the car, that's the project. Hopefully you will look forward to this. It's going to take, I think it's going to take a good few weeks to get this going, but nowhere as long as it took to do the S3, because we've got a lot less damage. Okay, so that's the new project that we have here. I hope that you really gonna look forward to this one as much as I do, because I just love these cars. I love TTs, and that's the reason why I've been looking for such a long time for one of these models. So next week we start the tear down. We're going to tear down all of the front of the vehicle, and then we'll be able to start putting the bits together. So hopefully next week we'll get the car sorted and water filled, etc. Just depends how difficult and what other things that we find going wrong. So don't forget, we've just dealt with the things that we can see, but in these builds there's always a whole lot of stuff that you can't see. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. If you have, don't forget to subscribe down here, because we've got lots of exciting content for you to come. Click on that notification bell so you are notified whenever we release a new one, and we will see you on the next one coming up next week. Take care and have a good week.